Welcome to the Never Forget Hidden Histories podcast. I'm your host, Michael Gilkison, and your co-host is Heidi Brown Gilkison. And this is the podcast where we stop being polite and start getting real.
That's been used already, Michael.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's like MTV Real World. Somebody.
All right, welcome to the Never Forget Hidden Histories podcast. I'm your host, Michael. Heidi is here.
Hi,
by the lovely
hello.
my wife, Heidi.
Yes.
And on top of that, we have a special guest, Taylor DeClue.
Hi, thank you.
Hey, Taylor.
Excited to be
This
with you
is so
guys.
exciting.
This is huge because this is a new podcast. Obviously, we don't have a ton of subscribers yet, but we've had a couple of guests on who have been really have their own very loyal followings. And the whole time since that we've been doing this, I've been thinking I want to get Taylor on someday. So it's just so awesome that we just asked you yesterday and you said yes and you're here. So thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Of course. And I saw a clip and I was like, I want to be in the conversation too, because finally people are having these and it's so important right now. So I was happy to be invited.
Awesome. So Taylor, I know I'm familiar with what you do because I followed you on TikTok and then I joined your Discord. But
And I am familiar because I'm married to her and we talk about this stuff.
yes. But since what you do is so broad, could you in your own words just give us a little explanation about what it is that you do?
It's so funny because I think I'm still like learning to familiarize words with this. But all in all, I'm a teacher, right? By nature, I'm a teacher. I went to university to become a teacher. However, I'm a teacher of the mystery schools. So we call it coding. That became kind of an easy phrase to put on it because we're all on our phones all the time. And some people are like
Wow.
slightly familiar with what computer coding is. Computers require scripts, they require sandboxes, things that are terms that sound physical but are also spiritual in a sense. And so when I started Discord, this was after having a podcast, teaching about herbalism, and having experienced psychedelic mysteries myself. So I wanted to create a space because TikTok was like at a weird point at that time. We were a few years past COVID, but then not yet where we are right now. And I just wanted a space where people could come and share like things that they were finding through pattern recognition without getting blocked by the algorithm or without people kind of shaming them, saying that they had certain mental diseases because they can see the obvious. So Heidi's been a part of the group, and as for the past, I think it's like 3 years almost now, and I can't even believe that with time, but the group has expanded, the business has expanded, and I've realized that now is the time to kind of bring the mystery schools back, which are very pertinent to understanding our history, how our world around us is built right now. And I'm here to kind of encourage people who are along their journey that pattern recognition is you remembering past lives. And when you're able to see things and put them together, the universe is one big mysterious puzzle. And sometimes it feels like nothing. Information overload is a thing. But when you can kind of alchemize that information and pair it with modern day events, whether it be pop culture, political, or financial, all topics I cover in Discord as well, I find that people start to kind of merge and not in the hive mind that is designed to take control of us, but one where we kind of start to empower ourselves. So that's where everything is right now.
Wow.
Wow. That is awesome. What a cool that is such a perfect explanation. But you also you have a website, you offer services, you have subscription platforms. So like the deeper people want to go, the more they want to participate, they can through this. And it's so clever that you have it set up that way because I feel like you you give you give all this knowledge so freely, but you also like you prioritize yourself because you're trying to build something, you're trying to build a legacy. So you have tiers to that, to the level of knowledge. The more people want to set forth intention to gain more knowledge, they can through working with you.
Definitely. I was raised in a pretty strict household, not just in a religious sense, but also in like a business framework sense. So I was raised for to do speeches and be involved in fraternal and societal type of organizations that are meant to breed the next generation of leaders. However, I got to a point in my life where I wasn't really feeling that, and I went out on my own. Went through the process of suffering that a lot of people do under awakening because I realized that my world was set up for me to go down a particular path. So, TikTok and social media apps, because they're so fast moving and they've advanced so much since the days of MySpace and Facebook, the way that we're interacting with them, we are given so much information so fast. And you know, like I'm fast too with Heidi, so I had to
Yes.
learn how to slow down a little bit too. But there's so much information being compacted into a human mind at one time. And so it's kind of a kick in the butt, but I had to use what I learned about structure in the business world and from my upbringing and merge that with the spiritual because when it comes to mysticism, still to this day, a lot of people don't take it seriously. It's like, oh, she's a tarot reader, must mean she doesn't pay her bills, or that she just flocks around in, a field of flowers all day and doesn't experience real life things.
Right. And
And
those stereotypes are very intentional. That's programming.
exactly. But then, like, because of the knowledge that I have on the other side, when it comes to like businesses and corporations and the financial realm, I'm like, you guys, there's really no difference. It's just we got to read a little bit more and compare stories and see like how mythologies have repeated themselves across cultures, but have also inserted themselves inside of our constitutional systems, which are repeats of the same dynasties that have ruled over, periods. So merging both the worlds, I think, is important because you can dive straight into like a rabbit hole and you're like Alice in Wonderland. It's wonderful to get lost, but can you find your way back? Are you leaving breadcrumbs? Are you creating a trail so that, when you're out in the unknown, you can kind of bring yourself back and like, okay, we're out of Plato's cave again. We can start to breathe and observe.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. I we're really way wide out in the open on this podcast. We're an open book. I've already talked about my psychosis experience on the podcast. So has Michael. And you're familiar with it. Back in 2024, January 2024. Was it 24 or 23, Michael? 2024.
I'd like to forget on the Never Forget podcast. No, actually not. I'd like
No.
to leave myself breadcrumbs to
No.
get back from it.
I I went too far down the rabbit hole. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was getting really, really deeply connected into all the synchronicities. I was really into the stuff that we were sharing on your Discord server. But it was starting to link so viscerally to my own personal life that I just kind of broke with reality. And I don't blame the Discord server. Trust me. There were lots of other personal outside reasons, and I do believe that part of what I experienced was a spiritual awakening, but
Mhm.
but then I needed to be I had to have a hospital stay and have some rest, and I had to take a big long break, and now I do that. I take breaks from time to time. Like I'm not always active in the channels anymore because it's just hard to keep up. Honestly, it's mostly like my camera roll gets so packed full of screenshots.
Yeah, I
So
could
why
live.
don't you explain a little bit of what we do in the Discord?
So we're talking about decoding, and let me just preface by like tying what I said about business with it too.
Yeah,
I had to understand I was building a structure, right? This is something I'm still like building and working to this day. I did blame myself because you were not the only one who like was asking questions or feeling overwhelmed by it. Because as someone who's already had psychedelic experiences, now that it's over, I can easily talk about I went into another realm, but I'm still here kind of thing. But for people who have experienced awakening in different ways, it can be overwhelming. Um, Before I go into the coding, I will say when I had my first like true awakening, but not true awakening, I discovered Mandela effects, which is like usually back then, this was around like
right.
2012. Everybody, Shane Dawson, I believe, was sharing a lot on YouTube. And so, you realize that things have been scripted or rewritten to the reality. That was my first like dark night of the soul. And I tried to explain it to friends and they didn't really understand. So over the years, I learned you can't necessarily tell everybody what you're going through all the time. Now,
Right.
Pairing that with the structure of Discord, I was really excited to create this space. Now, the way Discord is set up, they've set it up beautifully so that you can create channels, but I was following a framework of just dropping things because they were coming out of my mind without structuring them first for people. So even though I'm super excited, it's like, okay, I'm starting this I don't even want to call it an orphanage. I'll just say it's like a halfway house for people who are traveling through the spiritual realm. I have a house, but I've not organized the rooms yet. I haven't cleaned up, I haven't swept, I haven't provided any food, but I'm saying everybody come in. And I realize people are hungry and they're looking for something, but they don't know where the beds are or the pillows are. So this is the analogy about like what coding is. To get comfortable with yourself and understand that everything has a pattern to it is first and foremost. Not getting lost in it is pairing that self-care with it. So through each different channel that we have in Discord, where the most popular one is pop culture because everybody's engrossed in pop culture every single day. We're sharing
Yeah.
pictures and images that have familiar patterns or rhythms to it. It's kind of like orchestrating a little bit of a symphony. Some of us know when to jump in. I've compared it to double dutch before. I said, there's a time in double dutch where they're moving and you got to know when to jump in. And everybody's invited. But some people, we have over 600 members, and I'll say about less than 10% actually jump in and code because they're like,
Yeah.
I like it, but I don't know what's going on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's making aware because, world news, financial systems, um, things that are happening on the humanitarian front are in our faces every single day, and then put in music, entertainment, movie releases, and programming. So we're receiving all this information, and this is a space where people can drop what they're seeing so that they can kind of like merge minds like a neural net with other people and say, I'm seeing this. Are you seeing it too? This is what our breakdown is. I've tried to start encouraging people to write explanations, even if they're just short, so that people who are observing are not like completely lost. Because I was guilty of that. I would like drop pictures. I'm like, they don't see it. But as a
Yeah.
teacher, you have to take the care of like teaching. So not everybody's going to know what you're talking about immediately. And you got to take the time to sit and like say, well, if we study astrology, we're seeing at this particular time in history, this has already happened. Do you see it too? And it's grown. I don't expect anybody to be perfect at it because there's no perfection. We're a huge computer system. But yeah, long explanation, but that's where we are with like coding.
Well,
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
can I dive into a specific here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
yeah. I
that's
was gonna
okay.
say maybe we should like apply an example so that the readers can kind of know what we're talking about. Like Osiris, for example. Just like
Okay.
break down what's the deal with Osiris and why is it repeating itself through everything we see everywhere?
Okay. Was this pairing with Michael's question too, or is this the same
Oh,
thing?
no, Michael, say what you were gonna say and then we'll go forward.
I wanted to know your take on the ordinal and reverse ordinal, like the
Oh, gematria?
numbering. Yeah,
Oh
gematria.
yeah. She uses gematria within her codes, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just don't I don't understand it, and I'm wondering, just whatever you want to say on it.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean,
Can
yeah.
I can find a way to kind of pair them both together. So,
Okay.
Okay.
gematria, being the ancient coding of words into ciphers, has been used since Chaldean times, probably before that too. I would think in like ancient and Lemurian civilizations. Our understanding of numbers and accounting has always been around. When you have different ciphers, this is just a way of reversing the different letters to make different words because the same way throughout history and nature, we all interpret things in different ways, depending on who wrote the cipher. Like, let's say you're writing your own alphabet, right? You've created your own images and letters because you know what they represent. Someone can interpret them in a different way and reverse them. Some people have asked me, like, is one more valid than the other? That's kind of like saying, is tropical astrology the same as sidereal? They're
Vedic
two
or
different
yeah.
perspectives of the same topic. And so to kind of like tie it with Osiris. So the Osiris story comes up very often because America and its Masonic background is tied to ancient Egypt. It's a perfect mirror, like it's New Babylon or New Zion, whichever one you associate with. And so the same mathematical structures that built Egypt also are told within the stories. There were two brothers, and we can think about this as Cain and Abel in the Bible, if that's easier for some people. Or just think about two masculine energies that are mirrors of one another. They're brothers. One is the sun, the other is the night. They're dueling, right? One is jealous of the other because he is favored by the father, who is also the sun. See how all these things start to correlate. So,
Oh yeah.
Set, who is over the fertile lands, he kills his brother Osiris, who's god of death and agriculture. And so Osiris, they also have female counterparts, which are known as Nephthys and Isis. They're their sister wives, but also they're twins at the same time. So just think of like mirror energies, masculine and feminine. We keep it real simple. Set cut up his brother into 14 pieces. So we're talking about the ligaments. Cut him off at each ligament, and each ligament represents a different part of the body. 14 pieces, cut him up, put him in like a casket. We'll just say it's like a casket. And he sent him down the Nile River. His sister and his wife go and look for his body. Isis is putting him together. She finds all the pieces, but the most important one, the one that creates life, his phallus. And so with it, she finds a golden one and restructures him to be reborn into the god Horus. This exact same mythology is the Christ story. Mary gets impregnated by a god. He comes back to be the savior, right? The pinning of the body is a spiritual concept in itself. But to tie it back to gematria, the 14 pieces are very important because when you see numbers repeat throughout history, you see common themes and patterns. You see how the world stage reenacts the same great mysteries over and over again, down to the birthday of the person that they're showing on the world stage. In gematria, you can use to find similar ciphers. Now, I do always say, because there are some people on YouTube, social media who think just because one word equals another, that they're the same. Words can share a vibration, but that doesn't mean they're the same thing. Same way you can have a brother or sister, you guys came from the same parents, but that doesn't make you the same person. It's just a shared vibration or energy. So we use gematria kind of as a way to like back it up with math. If nothing else makes sense to people, you can kind of back it up with numerical ciphers because it can make sense to you. Like if you don't believe in the mystical, you can at least believe that our world was created through an architectural structure. Buildings are measured in order to be created. Light is measured to measure frequency. So we're always using systems to kind of encapsulate the way that we see life into numbers, into structure, and even into geometry.
Right. Yeah. Well, because the patterns connect, they synchronize.
Exactly.
You can have the explanation, you can have religious explanations, you can have philosophical explanations, you could have literal chemical explanations. I mean, we talk about the periodic table all the time in the Discord too. Like these stories repeat themselves in like actual chemical ways, in scientific ways, the just through nature. Yeah, so it's like what's cool about the numbers is that it kind of applies to our reality is pretty much math. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's funny. It's funny because we were doing a project for a little while with a non-speaker who knows telepathy, and that's the main thing he says is that he sees math everywhere. And he can do very advanced calculus because he literally sees it. And I think it has to do with synesthesia and aphantasia, like being able to visualize the mind's eye.
Oh, like a
Um,
Goodwill Hunting?
yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. So it's pretty fascinating, but I think if you look at it, if you apply that same logic, then like that's why gematria works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question, Michael, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any other
Well,
questions, Michael? Michael could
I'm
be is a good layperson for this to see.
well,
Yeah.
I'm big into studying 3, 6, and 9 right now because the ancients believed there were only 9 numbers. I'll factor out 0 because 0
Yeah.
the whole
Well,
thing.
and the like
But
Tesla, Nikola Tesla. Mhm.
but like 9 times 9 is 81, and then 8 and 1 is 9. So everything of 9 with itself is it comes back to 9. Same with 3 and 6, but mainly just those three, like beginning, middle, end.
Yeah, and then that can
And
connect to life path numbers. Like if you add up your birth date and then it comes to a life path number. Like Michael, you're number 9. Did you know that?
oh no,
Yeah.
no,
That's
it's been a
interesting. I'm
while since I looked
4.
it up.
You're
4.
4? I'm 4
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
Builders.
Yes. I think you're a little bit better at building than I am these days.
No, we won't say we're better. We have different ways of doing things all the time. And I think like even the fact that you're out here podcasting, I recall like some of our earliest conversations and getting used to like even in the midst of like all the chaotic stuff going on, I think it's really about getting used to living in your design. And this is where numbers can come in too, because some people come all the time to me and they say, "Well, how do I know myself?" You study yourself the same way you would study a musician or you would study a book. Get to know yourself and who you are because diving into the mysteries is not necessarily about everything happening all around you, but everything happening in you. Everything from your organs to the number of fingers that you're born with, or your eyes, or how many cells are in our brains. Those are all stories that have been told numerically that mirror themselves in like things that we see in everyday reality. So it's a cool way to understand yourself.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely what I resonated with the most when I first saw your work is that, you were sharing the photos of you next to that woman, Zola Taylor, who was married to Frankie, what's his name
Frankie
again?
Lyman.
Frankie Lyman, yes. Just the ways that you were showing all these archetypes that reflect you, and I was like, oh my gosh, I do that. I've done that my whole life. There's all these archetypes that have always reflected me in my life. So I grasped onto that concept really early on, and I noticed that a lot of people in the Discord they still have a hard time. They're like, I don't know how to compare this to me in my life. It's
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 really
it's
hard to look
tricky.
at yourself. Like, people still struggle to look in the mirror. Like, we pick up
Yeah,
phones and it's easy to, like, hey guys, this is me on TikTok. But a lot of people, like, they don't know themselves yet because they've been trained to look away from the self. They've also been trained to compare themselves to everyone else. And even like with your mom and Zola, like it's by no
yeah,
coincidence that we met because if
no,
you consider from like a biological perspective, we're all just atoms floating around. The minute that we linked, this is like in an internet node, two links are connecting, and it seems like, oh, this really has nothing to do with one another. But it's the mother matriarch Discord. That's what I named it. I thought
hmm
off of a whim, but maybe it was a memory. And so when you were always sharing like your connection to Zola too, it's not a coincidence because our brain is constantly picking up on memories. It stores things that we don't even remember 7 generations back and possibly even farther. And then also like the
Interesting.
fact that we connected, and I remember I started finding like some codes for you, like with the name Heidi, like
yeah,
we remember far more than we realize about our lives, and we're kind of inserted in each other's stories without even knowing it from the beginning. So there's no separation. Even when it comes to like spiritual knowledge, there's no separation. We're just here waking each other up. It's like I ping you,
Wow.
you ping me. We're all waking up in all of this.
oh,
She's
totally.
she's reading the Da Vinci Code now, the new
The
book.
newest book.
Oh, the new
You,
one. I have to go get
yeah.
that.
Oh, girl, you would laugh. It's hilarious. Yeah.
That's too funny.
No,
There's a
Taylor, I
character in it.
swear they're copying. We talk about this all the time, but they're copying you. Like the book is about like realizing that consciousness doesn't exist within our individual brains.
Oh my goodness. Michael said you said you saw a character?
Sorry.
The character's name is Heidi Nagel. And we had two
I
Nagel
collected Nagel
hanging in
posters.
our.
Yeah.
And what
There
about your great grandma? Who did your great grandma babysit, Heidi?
Oh, Tom Hanks. I've told her that before, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that codes, I've had some codes to the Da Vinci Code too. I was trying to remember what it was. Oh yeah. My last name, DeClue, because people always think like it's just like a screen
Oh,
name I
yeah, you have a
chose.
ton. You have a ton of Da Vinci Code connections. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
Give
building
us
an AI.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, throw a few out. Show us. Like, yeah, no, she really does.
So my birth last name is DeClue, and the origin of the name is actually Duclos. It just got a different spelling. A lot of like immigrants when they came to America, especially because I have French Canadian bloodlines, they would change or alter the spelling, especially because they would be judged based off of where they came from, but also phonetics changed as well. So I had done
Exactly.
some digging because I was like, where does my last name come from? And I found that there were not a lot of people with my last name. So I dug into it and I was watching the Da Vinci Code at the time. Leonardo da Vinci died in a house called Chateau Duclos, which is my last name. And of course, immediately I would write it off because most people write off coincidences as pure coincidences. But the whole movie is following a woman who's a cryptographer. So she's studying mysteries and breaking things apart, named Sophie, which is the name for
Yeah.
wisdom, Sophia,
Right.
like the goddess at the same
Knowledge.
time. Yeah, and
hmm
they're in France, which France is heavy occultic. Like all the occultic Rosicrucian mysteries are over in France because they connect to Egypt as well. So when they show these movies, because we're all tuned in, Hollywood is druidic magic too. They can
Oh,
see
yeah.
all of these events happening across time. And so when people like, oh, I think that's me, or well, we're all one universal consciousness. So if you see aspects of yourself, that's not by chance or coincidence because we've lived this. But we've been designed again to be sleep and think, oh, it's just a movie. No, Dan Brown got like a lot of flack for that movie, not just for the book, but people were saying everything was suggestive, like the fact that Jesus had a counterpart named Sophia, or that he was
Mhm.
married and had children, because this would destroy the religious dogma that was built around the story. But they're not out there for no reason. There's not a group of people denying this for no reason. Hollywood thought enough of it to make that and a sequel called Angels and Demons, only for us to be experiencing it in a much different way through the digital realm right now. But through entertainment, they don't expect you to take anything seriously. You're there to be entertained. You're not there to interpret. Only people who are like into Easter eggs and occult knowledge are going to sit there and like analyze aspects of the movie. So those are my connections. I'm a cryptographer. I'm a Sophia like energy because I'm breaking apart mysteries to understand consciousness.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I remember that that documentary you saw about Leonardo DiCaprio said something about a lion too.
Oh yeah, no, Leonardo da Vinci. That's funny. I think there's a
Yes.
tie there because I do that Freudian
Let's
slip where
connect
I call
there.
Da Vinci DiCaprio.
Yeah.
He built a
Same name.
lion. Yeah, he built a lion too. A AI bot, and me and
It
Heidi
was
were
like the
passing along
first
severance codes.
yes, it was like the first animatronic or something, basically.
So,
Leonardo da Vinci made it.
and they've been that if it's been around
Oh
since the
wow, I
Renaissance
didn't hear about
period.
that.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
if it's been around since the Renaissance period, and they've been breaking apart consciousness through mathematical symbols. When people see like Google Veo 3 right now, they're so amazed, like they've been doing this. The interpretation of images and moving pictures has been happening for far longer than you realize. So I thought that was pretty
Right.
cool.
Right. So if someone if like a total outsider person who doesn't know any of this is listening, would they like the impression they would get maybe is like, so what's real? Is it all real or is none of it real? You know what I mean?
I think it depends on your view of the word real.
Yeah.
The the construction of our reality is happening through our eyes every single day. If you consider that how powerful your brain is, that you have a physical flesh and you have organs that are all connected into this large nervous system that is controlling the way you operate yourself every single day. To you in a physical flesh, yes, it's very real. What you see, sense, touch, taste is real. But also think about the things that you're denying, the extra sensory perception that you have, knowing that maybe there's something more. Maybe there's something that is not mainstream that is out there for me to explore. When people begin questioning their reality, it's terrifying because that would mean that everything that's been built around you your entire life was an illusion or something that was designed to keep you on a certain path. But the thing is, like the same thing with the Oracle and the Matrix, right? Choice is the illusion. For you to think that there was any other path other than you awakening, you're either awake or you're asleep. And awakening is just as painful as sleeping, but in sleeping, you're numb. When you're
Yeah.
awake, you have to feel everything, but we're talking about feeling on a whole nother level. So, for someone who would say that, what is real and what's not, I hate to sound like, it's whatever you want it to
Yeah,
be.
just you decide. Yeah.
You
It's a
have to
choose
make
your
that
own
decision.
adventure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
goosebumps.
Yeah, yeah,
Perception, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And I think, I mean, obviously, it's not a coincidence that what happened to me happened at the same time as what's happening to our country, to the world, like all the other people who've been waking up,
Well,
TikTok.
I'll loop it back. So
Yeah.
we were talking Da Vinci Code, and you were talking archetypes. I did a workshop in Hollywood. It was the Sam Christensen workshop. He's this big Hollywood casting director. He casted MASH, the '70s show MASH,
Hmm.
and he showed us how people perceive us. So we would have to sit in front of the class and they would look at us and they would check boxes. It was very stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
It
So
would
the
be
casting
like
directors
scary,
were,
this, that, and it was just stream, and we all did that. Anyway, his best friend was Rita Wilson, and somebody asked him a question about Rita Wilson, and he goes, I don't answer questions about my friends. He got like really weird about it.
I'll bet.
So anyway, I go through this workshop and they give me Gene Hackman. They say, okay, you want to be like a Gene Hackman type in the roles that you pursue and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
anyway, I this is before I was awake. I'm at the Shrine Auditorium University of California or USC, University of Southern, at the Shrine Auditorium filming something. Oh, this is the night of Kobe's helicopter crash too.
Oh, wow.
And the show's on Netflix. It's called Hollywood.
Mhm.
It's Hollywood's Netflix. I'm
Yeah,
wearing
Michael's
Jackie.
in the audience. You can see it in the Oscar scenes when they're
What's
doing
it
the
I'm
called? I have
Oscars.
to go and watch it now.
Oh
it's
yeah,
just called
it's
Hollywood.
a Ryan Murphy. It's a Ryan Murphy series called Hollywood. It was on
Okay,
Netflix.
cool. I'm gonna
Like
check it
during
out.
the yeah. And he's in like he's like the third row behind like some of the main
No,
characters and
I'm
he got to sit
sitting
next to Tony what's her name
well
again? I'm
behind.
blanking.
Oh, the Broadway lady
Yeah, the
that you
Broadway
met.
actress. Yeah, why am I blanking? Oh, Patty LuPone.
Oh,
Oh
Patty
yeah,
LuPone. Wow,
Yeah.
that's big.
Yeah.
yeah. She made me
Anyway,
hold
what's
her
your
purse. She was
but
like,
see
"Hold
this
my
is
purse for a second, sweetie." I held
But
it.
see,
I'm
this is a
behind
perfect
Superman in it.
example. This is a perfect example about how Hollywood operates on the mystical on a mystical esoteric level. Even in a class held by a casting director, they give you the archetypes. They're giving you the archetypes that you're supposed to embody.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, even that
So
term casting, molding
yeah.
something, same way in Egypt, which they pull from. And like we talked about that too, some of the buildings they have out there,
Oh
they're
yeah.
all pulling from this process of rebirth and all of the entertainment industry. I know, like, I can't really describe it without people going straight into like the evil TikToks of like what all of Hollywood is doing. But what I can describe is that ceremonial magic is something that's very prevalent out there. So when Michael was
Ooh,
talking about casting and giving archetypes, there are people who don't know who they are yet, and there are people who are. People who are
yeah.
easily moldable are the ones who are usually cast. This is how they make like bankable artists in Hollywood. They make that a literal term. Like you're bankable because we can sell this persona. Will Smith is always playing the savior archetype. You have Leonardo DiCaprio who often either plays like a mob boss of some sort or a great discoverer or going across to different. He actually merges across a lot of different genres, but these archetypes are soul exchanges, things that you've already done in a past life, which is why
Whoa.
you show up again. Keanu Reeves playing the same character in every movie he's in. Like they knew that was gonna sell and people would fall in love with it. That's why
So his what he demonstrates, the characteristic he demonstrates is luck.
luck,
That's what
Keanu Reeves?
yes,
Keanu
because
Reeves? Huh.
yes, because every movie he's in, he's lucky. Like A Walk in the Clouds. He's like, "Oh, I lost my wife, but I have this whole new life
I love
now."
that that's the first
And then Bill and
movie you
Ted, like
reference. That's
luck.
like my
No,
favorite movie.
this is what Sam Christensen said. He was telling us this.
Oh,
And then Neo, luck, everything. This was his
well, I
Valkyrie.
don't.
breakdown of it.
Yeah,
But anyway, the
that's
I,
your handler's breakdown of
I
it.
wanna I wanna hear more about the story gets weirder. This story
Oh,
that
yeah,
I'm telling. I
sorry.
have to
Okay,
finish it.
finish this story. Sorry, Taylor.
No.
You're fine, go ahead.
So I meet this. You're on set. And you meet extra set. You're on set. You meet the
Oh,
extras. So anyway, I'm watch. So Gene Hackman is my. All right. So a few weeks later, I'm at our apartment and I'm watching The Conversation. It's a Gene Hackman movie. It's Francis Ford Coppola before Godfather, and it's a surveillance film. So anyway, I'm watching that. The Lion King movie had just come out. So I'm texting with my buddy that I met at the Shrine Auditorium. And then we're just texting about movies, you know. I think he mentioned Parasite, and then I mentioned The Lion King. Oh, I'm watching The Lion King. And then the very next text that he sends me, he goes, I like Gene Hackman movies.
yeah.
and it was completely, there was no context, there was zero context for it.
It's so interesting. I feel like people are better, like they're very hermetic, like the way that they can like use words as tools and without you like really thinking twice about it. Like sometimes you can like, what are they talking about? Or why do they pause on that? But they become like masters of speech. And I think they teach in a lot of like mystery schools and like Scientology and things. They teach them how to use their words and phrases because it becomes a part of like acting. Like you're able to literally physically embody the experience of this character that you've never actually been before, therefore like merging the consciousness of whatever this was before. So yeah.
Ooh,
Interesting.
that's interesting because I've done, I used to be a theater actress and I've played a character in the Crucible, the Salem witch trials, and I see that archetype placed upon women, upon the divine feminine over and over and over again. And it's weird. Every role that I've ever played, it does feel like a core part of me now. I've never let go of it, even if it was just for like silly community theater when I was a teenager.
We're all just playing roles. That's what I say. Like even when you feel like, oh, I'm Heidi, or I say, oh, I'm Taylor, like the name is literally telling us what we're here to do. And
Yeah.
even in that, like the experiences of people around us, they're never by coincidence or chance. So, at one point on TikTok, at the beginning, before I like really my page took off, people would say I reminded them of the Oracle all the time. I was like, I never even watched the whole Matrix movie. What are you talking about? So I actually sat down and watched it and I said, oh, this common archetype of, this wise black woman who just happens to know like about things, but she'll tell you, but not really tell you. But I realize, like, when we're talking about roles that are chosen and bestowed upon people, this is also memory. Because the same way in households, men, women, no matter who you're with, we all have roles that we play spiritually in each other's lives or physically. And we work off of the scripts. The scripts are according to our trauma, the words that are used. Like when you instill in your kids growing up, you speak to them words of affirmation. Or for some kids, they don't get that at all. So those scripts become the set for the play. And like we talked about Set and Osiris, Set is the dark version of his brother. He's jealous of him. So the dark version is like, no, I want to be you, which is why in like occultic groups, they have them do mad mirror work. Like they have to like get fully integrated looking. If you've ever spent a long time looking into a mirror, it gets scary after a while.
Oh,
And
yeah, I just did it the other day. Yeah.
I've done the mirror work before and I've grown past it. But the first time I did it, I'm like, I see why they make them do this now. And why, when people perceive them on social media, like, oh, they've gone dark. They had to access a part of their psyche that's not readily available. And that scares people. It scares them because when it's something that's highly misunderstood and you only see one version of someone, you're looking at them through the silver screen. And we talked about this with like the periodic table. The element of silver is about the moon and the subconscious mind. And so if you're looking at an aspect that's usually hidden, you're like, whoa, that's not regular you. That's somebody else. And it becomes either a
Oh,
talent and skill of either being able to merge both personalities together or forever being crippled or blinded by one.
Wow. I
wow.
love that. So I got a question. Well, I don't know how to pose this. So the Gene Hackman thing, for example, when his friend texted him that, Michael got paranoid. And I think there's several instances
Well,
between
yeah.
of the last like 5, 6, 7 years where we all this weird stuff happens where we think, are we being followed? Are we being handled? Why would we be? Who cares about us? You know what I mean?
Well, I
And
mean
I
the
know
re
that you can. I know Taylor
yeah, I
can
don't know.
relate to this. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, Michael, but I know Taylor can keep relating to this because you've mentioned before, or I don't know how much you feel comfortable sharing, but you've mentioned before that people have like kind of followed you in your life and handled you in some ways,
They
correct?
try, they can. I'm an escape artist.
Yeah, yeah. And really they're just watching. It's like, "Oh, you're just watching? Okay, well watch me then. What are you going to
Well, how
do?"
conscious, that's what I was trying to say, is how conscious are they of what of being the watcher, like of watching us, of handling us?
They're taught how to
Very.
access the spiritual realm, but not enough where they can infiltrate. If you have a strong spirit, nothing can infiltrate it. Like no matter what anybody says to you, if you know who you are, they're mirroring, they're putting on a costume. So I've shown like Heidi and the group in Discord several times because I have to use I always had this fight with myself, like I don't want to look like I'm being a narcissist, but I have to show people a living example of what this looks like. And so because there's a fine line between the celebrity world and us, we think that they're on some higher tier. It's a biological process to call yourself a star because you're literally channeling and accessing something that you may not yet know or see about yourself. So I would see celebrities mirroring things that I was doing. I'm like, well, isn't art kind of interpretive and everybody can do it? But at this particular time, and with every step I take, there's TMZ that comes with the news articles. And if you look into these people and who are founders of these corporations, you don't just start a corporation not understanding how it works, much less have like a metaphysical handler or human resources department that can gather people who can access the spiritual realm too. They'll deny this, of course. They'll write it off as like, I
Oh,
don't know, like a
exactly.
healthcare provider or something. But But anyway,
Right.
finding
Exactly
these
right.
similarities, and I was like, well, I'm starting a group that's about like awakened consciousness. And The Matrix came out in 1999, and there was this lady who claimed to have written The Matrix, but nobody believed her. And I can't find any factual information on it. So like, is something going on here? And I started realizing they're watching. It's a mirror game. They
Yeah.
watch us as we move. And so it's kind of like if you've heard the song, when I move, you move just like that. That's
Yep.
exactly what's happening. And so you question yourself, like you said, you might have gotten a little bit of paranoia, like, am I being followed? You're being watched, but not in the sense of like a peeping Tom behind your window. It's the window of your phone or the window of your eyes or the window of your psyche. It's wide open when you're
Ooh.
not spiritually protecting yourself, meaning, cutting yourself off from negative people online. Sometimes for people, it's covering their hair. For other people, it can be like getting back out in nature. Your protection in your aura has to have like a covering over it because everything else will try to penetrate you, especially online right now. And so when you even leave like a little gap open, people in the industry, they can kind of like sneak in. And because they have leverage and pull through these big corporations, they're like, oh, let's embody that in a music video because people are more likely to fall in love with this than
Right.
authenticity. Then you question
Hmm.
yourself. You're like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I shouldn't have posted myself. The whole idea is that you never figure out who you are. Now is the time to
Yes.
let go of that illusion of
Oh.
stars in the sky because they're mirroring the stars that are right here. You're the star of your show. Da Vinci showed this in the Vitruvian Man. He's literally the symbol of a star. So of course they would use that as like their playing card.
I forgot
Wow.
I forgot this story, Heidi, but it was so our old neighborhood in Northern California, we go to a lot of yard sales there, and we met a lady that she claims that she wrote the screenplay for Back to the Future.
I don't remember that. You didn't tell me about
Remember
that.
that brown jacket that you got me? It was like a American Eagle Abercrombie jacket.
No.
No, you don't remember
This was
that.
a
All
while
right.
ago.
All right,
Okay.
but anyway, she had the receipts. She's like, "Oh yeah, I dated the producer and creator of this." So I wrote it and I totally believe it because they do that all the time.
Yeah, that's what it comes with not acting out on your dreams because our dream
Yeah.
realm is watched. They've shown this, like, a lot of people know this one by now online, but like the DreamWorks logo, for example, how it has a little boy fishing in a moon, that is a
Oh,
reinterpreted version of the Mayan goddess Isho, which it shows her, a feminine goddess sitting in a moon fishing for dreams, right? Because
Wow.
we're all in a school of thought, like there's a school of fish. And so when we're talking about the film industry, what they're fishing for in dreams and consciousness are ideas and creation. So let's say you get like a bright idea, like I have an idea to write a script about, my life as a time traveler and coming across like, just someone random. We'll discuss Back to the Future. Let's say you meet, the doc or whatever. Somebody sees that the minute like you have a bad day and like, you know what? Creativity is not going to pay off. It's not going to pay the bills. And you don't write that script. You're leaving your spiritual space wide open. And then the next day, or maybe 5 years later, you see a film, a Hollywood film. You're like, no, just a coincidence. Like, obviously, this is not something we can physically prove on paper. And the fight is not to try and fight with the studios, unless you have paperwork. And even then, they'll say it's
you'll lose.
impossible to prove.
Yeah.
Right. It's about getting you to act on your dreams, which is why Hollywood has, such a bank on entertainment and perception. Because if you think that MGM Studios is responsible for this idea, it's going to sell at the box office immediately. If it's a small filmmaker who doesn't have the funds to pull off like this grand idea they have, they'll let the scarcity mindset get to them. They'll let the Hollywood is better than me idea get to them, and they'll never fulfill their dreams. But it's not about getting to produce something immediately because a true organic story has to be lived. It can't just be told.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. So Taylor, let's I'm trying to think of some like let's talk about a current event, for example, that everybody knows and can relate to right now that like people are talking about or whatever, and then how that can be coded or something. What about like Charlie Kirk?
Everybody's favorite.
I know. Well, that's just what everyone's talking about right now, or something like that.
You pay attention to headlines. I think that's like an important thing because headlines
Yeah.
are like clickbait. They're the
Yeah.
thing that's going to reel people into the story. Um, Charlie
The
Kirk,
head of the fish.
y- the head of the fish. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Really,
Oh, like
like the
fishing.
Vatican Pope.
Yeah, fishing.
Yeah.
How he that comes from the fish god Dagon. So he
Yeah,
wears
the
the head of the
Anunnaki.
fish. He's directing the seas of consciousness, like the holy.
I'm I'm still
Wow.
I'm still processing what you said about the dream works thing,
Mhm.
because this guy I know, um Sony stole his movie idea. So he had to rename his film, and he went and got an attorney to sue them for it, and mysteriously the attorney just dropped off. He wouldn't take the case. So that's what happens too.
Influence
The
behind closed.
only person, yeah, that'll take it. Nope, I'm not touching it. So,
Yeah, that's how it is mostly because even when it comes to like proof of concept and things like that, it's so hard because you'll say, oh, everybody generally has this idea, or you can't necessarily prove this, and then they'll have the judge in their pocket or enough people on their side. It's politics, and it's something we want to stomp and protest about, but these networks have been built up in every level of the game. We're talking about the financial game, we're talking about the law game, which is admiralty law at the end of the day. It's the laws of the sea. It's maritime. So what they're
yeah.
operating on is not the law of the land. They're operating on the laws of the high seas. And that's not
Yeah.
something that people readily know. They're like, what does that mean? We're going
Yeah,
back into
it's
the
no
dream realm.
coincidence. Yeah,
Wow.
it's no coincidence that the very first corporation
Stream
was
of
the Dutch Indies
consciousness.
Trading Company.
Water.
Yep.
Holy
Money,
smokes.
currency, even us going into more of an etheric realm with money, the blockchain. I've been wanting to do content about this. Not a lot of people are like super interested in merging the financial world with consciousness, but
I want to,
All
Taylor.
the stocks,
You
all
talk
the
about this all the
stocks are at
time.
the highest during full moons. All the stocks.
they
Every company in
are.
New York City, they have an astrology person. It's
Mhm.
a total thing. Yeah.
It's an absolute
The
thing.
Wolf of Wall Street, Leo.
I love that movie, by the way. That's one
Leo
of my favorite
DiCaprio.
movies.
Yes, I know. It's amazing because that guy is tapped into that and was, oh man. Yeah.
Jordan
Don't get me
Belfort is a
started.
Cancer.
Oh, I didn't know
Well,
that.
I truly do want to understand the financial aspects of it more. And I love that you have channels for crypto and stocks and all that
Nobody
on
cares
there.
about those channels.
I
I think
want
I
to.
do.
I
I
would
think they're
love
hard to
to.
interpret. That's
There,
probably
Yeah.
yeah. And for me, I still, to this day, even after all that I've discovered, I can't, I can't let go of the core belief that you have to be a bad person to be rich. And so I look at stock like, oh, that's what bad people do. You know,
yeah.
I'm trying to break out of that mentality.
The way I can say is like if you already know that they are using your body, your mind, and your consciousness as a piece of stock, why not get some of that back? That's like the simplest
Exactly.
way I can
I
put it.
know,
Like you
straight
can
up.
you can get mad that they took it or you can start getting some of it back for yourself. It's just because we've gotten programmed into instant gratification, nobody's really interested in the long-term game. They've made McDonald's for everybody. So it's like have it your way, Burger King immediately, or have nothing. And even when it comes to like, I know Masonic talk is very scary for people because they go dive straight into like sacrifice and all this. The one thing that should be understood, I think, is that they follow a system of architecture. They follow a system of mathematics and structure and geometry, and that's how these financial systems have been created. And they're not new. They're repurposing the same ideas. The same people have always been in positions of power because they cut off the knowledge at a certain point, which is why either you're going to join these groups or you're going to self initiate. Now, when it comes to the financial realm, I like talking about it because even the word crypt means vault. And I use Discord as kind of a way to make it easy for people to understand. So, a lot of people saw the Superman movie, right? Superman had a dog named Crypto. Now, when we look into a dog, the reversal of the word dog is God. On the back of our US dollar that everyone has touched at least once in their life, it says, In God we trust. What's a trust? Where people are exchanging equity to put into a bank that they don't touch, but is always used and they don't see. So if you
Mm.
go back into history, which is not something that's obviously readily available, but I'll give you an example.
Mono eye money.
Yep. And then what was I gonna say on Rick and Morty? There's an episode called Lawnmower Dog, where all the dogs are taking over in their consciousness. Well, the dogs is actually a star system in the sky known as the Canis Major star system. And so when we're talking about gods, you can relate that to Saint Anthony, I believe, or no, Saint Christopher. Saint Christopher was a dog-headed god. They were messiahs, and messiahs were just messengers. They weren't like one person to save everybody, but they're using like language and words to kind of trick people. This is why, like, when you're looking at like paperwork for banks and stuff, it's like confusing because you don't know the language. And
Right.
so that Rick and Morty episode talking about the dogs taking over is why we see all this symbolism, why Elon Musk is dropping weird images about being the godfather, the dog father, why Dogecoin has a Shinu dog on the front. Like,
Yeah.
it's symbolism through images and words. And again, if you don't speak the language, it's going to sound foreign, which is why you get people online saying, oh, you're schizophrenic, because you can't read the language. It's a language that not everybody speaks.
Right. Well,
That's right.
yeah. And that's the thing too, is I just think most people aren't used to speaking to someone who has such incredible memory recall and like visualization that you do. I mean, really it's savant level. And I'm not trying to kiss your ass. It's just crazy.
No, I think like I find it weird because it was like I said at the beginning, I think it was the thing that really isolated me as a kid. Like I was always the kid raising their hand and asking more questions and pissing my teachers off
Yeah.
because I was bored and I was frustrated. Um, and growing up, like having knowledge but not necessarily knowing what to do with it and having a brain that moves very fast, faster than your body can interpret, can be crippling at times because then you're not walking in the same like toy soldier organized format that they have every
Yeah.
other kid programmed to do. And so a lot of people who are in the GATE program, me and Heidi have talked about this too, we
Oh yeah.
all are now sharing common memories because there is a time right now they're basically repeating the Cold War. The race to space, monarch mind control programming is all happening through artificial intelligence. So everybody on TikTok now recalling like, oh, you were part of the GATE program? Yes, because pay attention to the word. It's not just gifted and talented program.
It's a
They
gate.
were opening up gates. Literally, we're talking about
Yeah.
planes of consciousness that can be heard through sound, that can be seen through clairvoyance or clairaudience, be heard. When you feel like you have tinnitus, like, of course, you can take a medical write-off for it. But what does it mean when your body, an organ in your body, can literally interpret something that you can't see and not everybody can hear? Dogs can hear at high pitches. What's the difference
Yeah.
between us? What are they hearing that we can't
Yeah.
hear?
I have constant tinnitus. It's been like a big the bane of my existence.
I could
Yeah.
I could show you how to turn that off if you want.
Michael has a little trick. That's a little inside trick joke he's saying, but yes, yeah.
Should we tell her? Or should I
Well,
talk about the
I've told her
NFL?
a little bit in my DMs about Lloyd Auerbach, right, Taylor, the paranormal investigator.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He was the one I when I met with him when I was in the middle of my psychosis experience, I told him that I'm being fed like all this information, like all the information of
She's
the
talking
universe, and
about her
I don't know how to
clairvoyance
handle
and
it.
stuff.
And
And
he's like,
she's
I could show you how to turn that off.
yeah, that's how he responds because she's like talking all this crap, and I'm like, oh gosh, he thinks she's crazy. And then he goes, I could show you how to turn that off.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, I don't want to turn it off.
That probably would have been me. I
I
probably
was
was.
I know. I know.
It's the full ecstasy of like being a human being and feeling like the full experience of emotions. It looks crazy to people, but like if you even think
yeah.
about like indigenous cultures, going into shamanic ecstasy, even though it was written off as something crazy, is things that like public coaches and speakers use. I used to talk about like Tony Robbins and people, I'm like, there's a style to what he does. It's not just like his big statuesque presence. He like gets a crowd riled up through like emotional energy. And even if he's
Yes.
selling you complete bullshit, it's because of the way that he like gets people excited. He heightens their adrenaline and their emotional state. They start jumping. That's religious ecstasy that they're doing. And
Mhm.
there's a book about it. One of my favorite books, Stealing Fire, talks about that too. And they talk about how they train Navy SEALs the same way because it helps them operate group thinking better. Seeing
Mm.
in the dark and taking them through like different experiences where they're forced to merge by putting them in similar emotional experiences is how they get them to be better soldiers. And we're talking about like special ops Navy's agents too. So the way that they learn is the same way that people in indigenous communities would access like shamanic visions. They would be jumping, dancing for hours without stopping. Think of like 80s dance marathons, doing all this to channel and access energy because the more people you have together doing the same thing, you can open something up. So it's very real. And your favorite spiritual gurus over the years, the Bob Proctors and Tony Robbins over the years, have used all of these styles
Well,
like
they're
to influence.
they're teaching our kids the box breath already.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, my son
and
learned that in school.
I teach mine at
Yeah.
home, so I'm glad more
Yeah.
kids are learning too.
then
Yeah.
also, are you familiar with the what you described as what Joe Dispenza calls the theta waves?
I used to
Because
learn from Joe Dispenza. I had his book before and a few of his meditations.
so
Yeah.
I read them all in order, and then I was like, I want to know the cult that this guy's in. So I got the Ramtha book, Ram,
Oh yeah, yeah, I
RAM,
know which one you're talking.
and this lady talks about the wind, like the wind talking to you and stuff. Like it's some total altar on the high places stuff.
Heidi knows I have like a gift sometimes of seeing people in another life, and I think I did a decode on my old page of Joe Dispenza. I can't remember the leader's name, but he was definitely a Puritan leader in his past life. When you come back like
Whoa.
with the karma, you always come back doing the same thing. Like you do something similar like in media, acting, whatever. And if you think about like the religious leaders of different times, they may not come back teaching the exact same thing, but by design, it's a part of your programming to teach things. So I saw it. When I say I see him, it's not just like a doppelganger. If you consider that energy has no end, the consciousness is going to find its way back to another body again. And if it remembers its past life, it may even find something that's phonetic or not phonetically, biologically similar, like in the face, which is why people have found pictures of like Leonardo DiCaprio or Keanu Reeves, and they say, oh, they're all vampires. Some of them do make exchanges, right? There's nothing new about that. However, if you also consider it from a biological bloodline perspective, learning about that, they come back and know that they're here to do the same thing. Like he didn't just sell this book because he was a great doctor. He has a history of already doing something like this in the past. So I've read his work. I actually enjoyed it back when I was working as a sound bath practitioner and learning about like the brain. And I think the neuroscience of it is a great way to merge mysticism so that it doesn't feel scary and still accessible to people at the same
Mm.
time.
What do
Wow, that's
you
awesome.
what do you think Joe Dispenza left out that you would add in to help people regarding that mysticism that you were talking about there? Because I know exactly you're talking about the to me it was the mental rehearsal where he talks about, visualizing, practicing playing the piano versus actually doing it, and the people that mentally rehearsed. What do you think would take it to the next level to help people?
People learning how to access their spiritual needs. So anybody can come in and say, I want to be famous, or I want to acquire a certain amount of money in my life, but they never really ask themselves why. They usually get this image or this vision from something they may have been lacking in their life or someone that they admire. And so I've heard from many different teachers like him who, they get people to go into, like you said, mental rehearsal. I think Bob Proctor taught a lot of the same thing in The Secret about prepping your mind for it. But you never really ask yourself why you want these things, which is why when people practice what they refer to as manifestation, they don't really have a why. It's more so like the desire of it. And I think if you understood why you wanted something, you wouldn't feel empty once you get it and realize, well, now that I have it, like, what's next? And I've had that before where I had a desire to do something, I manifested it instantly. I'm like, well, now that I know everything is accessible to me in the universe, what's next? Like, I thought that this was the biggest thing in my life, but maybe it was about understanding the power that I actually have versus getting the thing. So I think like there's a process of understanding what traumas we have that are connected to the energy points in the body and not just like how to get it, but why do you even want it in the first place?
Right. Yeah, I think
That's a good one.
the why has always been the struggle for me a lot because if I tried to manifest money, for example, I have a I think I have a subconscious kind of resentment to money because of everything like growing up poor, just for example. Um and I've just never really it's really hard to like figure out the why. And I do know that I have the ability like everybody does manifest, whether they know it or not. And see, that's the thing is I know in my life I have manifested subconsciously, but like I still struggle with the actual conscious act of manifestation because of that, because of the why. But I realized something the other day and I made a TikTok about it. The why is always to know the truth for me now, for like, and that's why I want to know the truth always. So
I love that.
I'm trying to now now I'm kind of like what you were saying when you get what you want. You're like, now what? And I'm like, okay, now what? I know why. So now what?
Well, that goes back to the dogma thing. And dogma is
Dogma.
some people want the truth and then other people want to be right. So the people that want to be right, they won't open themselves up to new knowledge or admit that they're wrong.
Yeah, but at the same time, if our reality is what we make of it or what we shape of it, then they, in a way, they are right. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it comes with collapsing the ego too, like that
Mm.
needing to be right because
Mhm.
we consider this to be the only reality. And that's a little bit naive to think that this is the only version of a million different galaxies or a million different versions of ourselves and who we are. And so, when you really collapse the ego, which happens through the brain's default mode network, you are literally opening yourself up to a universal software. This is open software source code. Everybody has access to it, but not few like really want to tap into like how is it written and what's the language. Um, and so I actually showed something similar to this part of the conversation this morning because I was watching a podcast called Diary of a CEO, and he was interviewing Neil deGrasse Tyson. I question everybody because that's the Scorpio nature in my rising. And I was like, what are
Yeah,
you hiding? But
yeah,
they also like by default tell on themselves a lot of the time. So Neil
Uh-huh.
deGrasse Tyson is a very well-known astrophysicist. He's been out here for years, but nobody would question him because he comes from the realm of science, which at this point is very respected because it involves research and comparing hypotheses. So he's on this podcast and they're talking about like simulations and whether aliens are here. And he toes the line and says just enough where nobody's going to ask any questions, but just enough to sound intriguing. Right now, clickbait on YouTube is AI. Is it going to take over? Is it going to destroy us? You've been in the game of understanding science for a very long time. He's even been on a podcast with Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Morpheus in The Matrix.
yeah,
I refuse to believe that that level of intelligence you're stopping at, oh, well, I don't know, maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. They have handlers or they've already agreed to be part of these brotherhoods who are not going to tell you everything. The nature of revealing for me is so that when people click on these videos for the first time, they're not watching them in a hypnosis state, more so from an observation state if it's something they find interesting. So if we see our favorite celebrities or, mathematicians or politicians or philosophers speaking, including myself, I tell people question me too. Ask questions. I will answer them. I make myself like as available as possible because those are false idols at that point. You're putting someone up on a pedestal and not asking any questions about the stage that has been built. Even podcasts, at least the high elite tier ones, these are stages that are set up. I have studio lights in my office right now, because we understand that there's a structure to the way things are presented to the public.
Dream, works, fish,
Exactly.
burn.
Illumination, studios, it's a Pixar, Pixels, like
Yeah,
they're
it's
playing
all.
around with
yeah,
consciousness. So it's something I think that's fascinating. I'm fascinated with the mysteries because they never end, but I view myself at this point like just as a teacher and a guide. I don't really like calling myself a mystic too much because just of the bad rap it's gotten for like explaining things from a logical
Oh.
perspective. But also
yeah.
I want people to be able to use the information to grow, like not just to have one more rabbit hole they go down, but realizing how everything is connected and how they spend their time on Earth is completely up to them. They're not forced to do anything.
Did you
Yeah, I
watch
love
the
that.
Keanu movie?
The
Like, why
new
did
one where he's an archangel?
no, no, like there's this movie, it's
You
jo
mean the key pill, the one with the cat?
Oh,
the
yes, I
cat.
watched. Wait, are you talking about the
The
one where like
cat,
they
yeah.
describe all his archetypes?
Jordan Peele, yeah.
Oh no. Oh wait, Jordan Peele. Which one?
Not Jordan Peele, the other one.
Or Keegan?
Key and
Keegan.
Peele?
Yeah, he's in a movie with a cat called
No, I didn't
Keanu.
see it.
Isn't that what you're talking about, Michael?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Oh,
why did
no,
you
I haven't
why
seen
did
that
you
one.
mention it?
Because Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, I was thinking like, oh, a fish burn. It's like the fish is tricking us. And then I was thinking Keanu Reeves.
Oh,
Well,
both
he plays the Christ character.
Key and Peele are in both, or are both
Uh,
in that movie.
he plays
The camera.
Neo is the Christ-like figure.
Right.
Yeah.
One, move
And
around Neo. It's
yeah,
one. Yeah,
and
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
mythology, Jesus was born in the bladder of a fish. So the vesica piscis, which is the holy womb that they refer to, is three interlacing
It's
circles, and in the middle it's an almond. And if you see like old religious images that they have, Jesus is always in like this almond shape, it looks like a football.
yeah.
Which is why like all this weird football symbolism is coming out right now too.
I know. You just saw the movie Him, and I am so curious to watch, but I hate horror movies. So does it
Well,
It's
seem like
not
I
something I gotta
scary.
watch?
It's not scary
Okay.
if you like. I mean, they don't show any like physical murder things like that
Uh-huh.
in there at
Uh-huh.
all. It's more so for people who don't understand. Because, people on TikTok will say, oh, he's wearing these rings, so it means son of Satan. And then if they can't pair it with like the mythological symbolism, it looks scary. But I don't think like it would scare you. I think you know enough symbolism by now where you would understand the story without just like marking it as like internalizing fear or like cringiness. It's more like, oh, I see what story they're telling.
Right.
The Atlanta Masons, I get
I
that.
showed him the
Why
screenshot you put.
Falcons? Atlanta Masons, but why San Antonio Saviors?
So Saint Anthony of Assisi, I think that's how you say his name, or Saint Anthony, of
Oh.
Egypt. They had
Tell
some
me.
religious order and rites where they were practicing the rites of rebirth, and their monks or their religious group would go around wearing these long black robes where they carried around like this triangular black tablet that looks kind of like Azkaban or even like a witch's hat. And so when you see like these names and how they're connected, San Antonio, Egypt, and being referred to like as Christ, remember the Christ and the Egyptian stories are the same thing. They're
Wow.
mirrors of one another. So they probably chose that by design. Saint Anthony, San Antonio, same thing. They slipped that one in too with the Atlanta Masons because you're wearing a falcon, and the falcon
Yeah.
is the sign of Horus. Horus is the rising
Oh.
sun.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I don't know if you know Andre Rison who played for the Atlanta Falcons. So they
My
they choose
friend would
these people
know.
by names. Like it's been a minute since he played too, but they choose these people by names, and then throughout the story, everything from like Cam getting hit in the head with um he got hit in the head by someone in a goat costume. This is also where, like, if you don't have the knowledge of these occultic stories, you write them off as evil. When people hear about the Baphomet, automatically you think of Anton LaVey. You think about him parading around wearing a devil costume, and you're like, evil, evil. It's theatrical. I've been in the theater too. Theater kids are weird. Like we're weird. Like we like
Yes.
dressing up and stuff.
Yes.
Anton
I
LaVey's a
say
theater kid.
I say this all the time to Michael. I'm like, "Oh, those are theater dorks." Like even like the Masonic 33rd degree guys are like just theater nerds.
They're in costume. They pay
Yeah.
for costumes. Like
Yes.
that's a
They
way to like
literally would.
demystify like all these secret orders. I'm like, it was if you look in the beginning, it was a bunch of boys clubs who had nothing better to do at the time but learn about the secrets. And then one guy got a little bit more information or a different way to do things, like the split between Crowley and Mathers. They went on their different ways because he's like, I want to do things my way. Well, I want to do things my way. And some people followed him, and they all split. So when we look at these stories, it's like just consider we're all in high school and there are secret clubs with secret code names and passwords that they've literally gotten just from studying history. Crowley
Mhm.
and everything that he's doing, though it is tied to like what's happening on the world stage right now, his name gets said so much that he solidified his magical work back then because he was born in what year? Like I can't remember what year he was born. It's
I don't know.
2025 and people are still saying his name.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
smokes.
But the goat, that's why I brought up see, I'm getting off topic. The goat
That's
Oh, the
okay.
with
Baphomet. I was
Baphomet, yeah.
wondering how
Yeah.
you were.
That wasn't supposed to be an evil symbol. It was supposed to represent the mirroring of opposites. So when people see breast in a goat, they're like, scary. But I'm like, if you actually look at the symbolism of the poster, and I put this in a video on TikTok, he's holding out two footballs with himself out in the Christ symbolism, right? But if
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
at a diagram of a uterus, It's the exact same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
What happens when a woman has a cycle every 28 days? What is she
Yeah.
birthing? What is she losing? What is being created? What is being born? When she doesn't have a cycle, what is sacrifice between the father and the son? Or, when we're talking about the son, we don't mean just a male child. We're talking about the siring of a creation. And
Whoa.
so, they of course nobody's going to ask that question, but Jordan Peele is obviously very deep into the occult. So he just acts like he isn't.
Right. No,
Oh, so it's pretty obvious now at this point. Yeah.
I'll get your take on this. I have to shout out this Instagram handle called Hit a Lick Sports because I do sports gambling because he combines this world, and I'll give you guys an example. So this will come out tomorrow, but the Eagles are playing today. He has Saquon Barkley getting 2+ touchdowns. So if he gets the 2 touchdowns, he's telling you to gamble on this because if he gets the 2 touchdowns, he can record his 75th career TD with 2+. They're playing the Minnesota Vikings, which equals 75. Saquon equals 75. It's his 52nd road game of all time. Minnesota Vikings, Minnesota equals 52. He can score his 126 point with the Eagles 113 days from his birthday. Kobe Bryant died on January 26, 126. And then Kobe Bryant equals 113 from Philadelphia. Eagles equals 113. So this is how that's an example of his decode.
Interesting. I just looked into him while you were talking. I was like, Barkley, where have I heard that name from? I was like, oh, like Charles Barkley from
Phoenix
Yeah.
Suns,
yeah, I was like,
Rise
that's
of the
interesting.
Phoenix.
And his birthday is February 9th. So like when you see the way I see numbers and like I describe them in
That's like
decoding,
9/11.
yeah, we
Yeah.
remember to break them down. So like even when you see like a split like between the month and the day, you can like add them together to make a singular number, or you can add them all together.
Yeah.
And he has like cancer symbolism with his, so which is associated
Charles
with
or
football too.
Saquon.
Saquon, I see his birthday is February 9th, so two nines is like a 6-9 or the sign of the Cancer or the mother, but he's an
Gotcha.
Aquarius, I guess. So like it's different ways. Like I love seeing like people who interpret sports from that way. I try to do it from like a pop culture, but also an astrological lens at the same time.
Yeah.
But I am
Right.
excited for the Super Bowl to come up too,
Oh, I know.
because
That's the best
Who
time
do
to
you
be in the
have? Who do
discords.
you have in the
It's
Super
during the
Bowl?
Super Bowl.
I don't watch football, but I watch the symbolism, and the NFL has been
Yeah.
prevalent in world news. I don't know if Heidi saw it. I shared it in Discord. It's gonna sound off topic, but I promise you I'm gonna connect it real quick for you.
We believe you.
Thank you. So there was a shooting in New York on the 33rd floor of the NFL office by a young man named Shane Tamir.
Oh, yeah. That was
By
And
crazy,
who?
that whole thing.
his name was Shane Tamara or
Oh
Tamir,
yeah.
I believe that's how you say his name.
Mhm.
And when he was arrested or when they found him, he was complaining of a head injury and complaining about how something about the NFL and his head. And I'm like, these things don't happen by accident. That sounds kind of like a Manchurian candidate kind of scenario because
Mhm.
he's all the way in Las Vegas and he comes to New York to shoot up on the 33rd floor, which is associated with Christ
Yep.
symbolism. And so this is the same time, weeks later, the movie Him comes out, which is about football and head injuries. Well, if we pay attention to the Super Bowl from this past year, not this year, but the prior year before, the rapper Jay-Z, who has a deal with the NFL, put out the movie The Book of Clarence, which is about a false messiah. Months later, at the next Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar, who's another rapper who puts out a whole album about being not your savior, now does that. Now, Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick of the Sea.
Exactly, Lamar. And then Kendrick has a house in New York. He also put out one of his last songs on 9/11. So a lot of like it's underground operations on like influencing events to happen according to numbers. And so when it comes to the next Super Bowl, I can't say yet because I don't watch enough to know like teams, but I would say based on the symbolism with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs last year, this year is going to be something related to like angels and demons and saints. I don't know all the teams, but I wouldn't even put the New Orleans Saints because I
Ooh.
live in New Orleans. I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be shocked if somehow they ended up there because it would tell the biblical story of All Saints Day, which is coming up. Like Halloween, the next day is All Saints Day, or All Souls Day, or the Day of the Dead. So that biblical story, like if you hear like the song When the Saints Come Marching In, which they played for that football team too, it will be all about the veneration of the biblical story of what's happening right now. But they'll tell it through the eyes of football or basketball or whichever sport they choose.
Interesting. Because
Wow.
see, my theory right now is with like a rookie quarterback. So they do this with rookies a lot. If somebody's in their rookie year and they're being initiated, then they'll give them a Super Bowl spot, to kind of
Mhm.
initiate them into it because they're going to be contributing to outcomes for the foreseeable future. So I'm thinking New York Giants,
I could see that.
giant like a demon and a giant.
I would connect it to the Nephilim too. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
Michael's big into the Nephilim fallen angel
That's the whole story right
narratives.
now.
Yeah.
I just did a Patreon post. Daemon or demon is a term in computing. So when we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about angles
yeah.
and angels of light, that Victoria's Secret just had the fashion show with the angel wings. Like there's a lot going on with that story. So I'll keep an eye out for your prediction
And
too.
then Chiefs.
Yeah.
It'll be Chiefs,
Chiefs.
Giants. And the Chief that would be a David and Goliath thing if you say Chief slaying the
Interesting.
giant.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
If the
I
Chiefs are
mean,
involved,
with
Taylor Swift will be
yeah,
involved.
with the Taylor Travis thing, like I have kind of goofily joked around that. Oh yeah, Taylor's gonna be they're gonna get married on the field or something like something
Her
crazy
new
like that.
song actually ties to what Michael was just saying when he mentioned Lamar in the Sea, because they
Oh
had that
yeah.
song that came out, the tailor-made freestyle, right when she released Tortured Poets Department. And then if you like tie that into that song she just happened had out, The Fate of Ophelia, where she's talking about
Yeah.
the Hamlet story, there's a specific line that's trending on TikTok for a dance right now where she's talking about the land and the sea.
Oh
Whoa.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be
Um,
shocked.
well,
Wow.
I want to be conscious of your time. I know you have kids. Are you still doing okay on time?
Yeah, I have
Gotta wrap it
about
up.
30 more minutes.
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
So the other two guests we've had, they definitely understand codes. They definitely understand the illusions. They get all the concept of that. But I think that their whole truther conspiracy theory niche is still rooted in the fact like they're Christians and believe in God. And so they think like this is a spiritual battle between, good and evil, God and Satan, blah blah blah, right? Um and don't answer if this is personal to you, but like so what's your concept of God now? I know you were raised Christian. What do
Uh,
you
I don't box it in because
Yeah.
if I did, I would be denying one part of the experience.
Yeah.
I'm aware that there's darkness. I'm aware that there's light. I do have morals as a human being and as a mother, obviously.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I think that I've learned not to internalize the story so much and realize what part I'm here to act out. I get asked all the time, do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus? I think when people ask like what I believe in, they want to know if I'm anchored into a specific framework of mind, and I'm not because every story is really the same across every culture. It's just a different interpretation of it. I love history, but there's a lot of hidden history too. And if I were to say I believe in Islam or I believe in Catholicism, I'm literally saying, well, this part of history doesn't exist or this part of history doesn't exist.
Yeah.
This is what I choose. And it is the right of every human being to choose in their life. Like, what is it, the framework that shapes my life? And I think I just have more of a universal concept. Like, I'm not here to box it in. I'm
Mhm.
also not like, I think sometimes when I speak about the divine feminine or the fact that the Discord is called Mother Matriarch, people think that means I'm a feminist all day. Like, yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I've birthed children, but also I will not deny that the masculine needs just as much care as the feminine. I'm raising a little boy and a little girl. And so when we're talking about waking up and becoming aware, we have our different ways of doing it, but it doesn't mean like, oh, it's only about the women or it's only about the men. This is about the merging of both spirits of consciousness when it comes to the masculine and feminine brain, logic and creativity. So for me, God is the experience. And we're here to like kind of figure out, well, what part of God am I reflecting in this part of life? And if so, how do I begin acting
Interesting.
out the story versus living the written script?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, so my next question then is you've talked about past lives. And I've always had a hard time with the concept of reincarnation, but the way you described it just now, I had like an epiphany light bulb moment because it's like, yeah, matter cannot be destroyed, but can only be transferred. So of course, the identity, the soul, the spirit essence of these people transfers somewhere else. It may
Mhm.
not be as literal as reincarnation or karma or whatever, like the way that Hindus believe or something. But um but yeah, like it's pretty obvious that exists even at the level of mitochondrial DNA and generational trauma and how we feel that in our DNA, for example. Like
Yeah,
that is another element or level of reincarnation. So what do you think about life after death?
I think we're already in it. I think that
Oh,
if you think about what life and death is, we have these very strict meanings of what it means to live, yet people are walking around suffering, not following their dreams or their passion or their heart. Are you really living or are
that's
you just
death.
breathing? And even in the
Wow.
breathing, you're not anchoring into your breath because I think I said this on live earlier, even as I was sitting there speaking for about an hour and a half, with every word that I speak, this is oxygen running through my body, keeping me alive in this experience enough to look at you and talk to you. And I'm thankful for every little piece of breath that I have because while we're complaining or upset or miserable about the things happening in our lives, it's not to like promote like, oh, we're just going to be toxic positivity because our organs are harboring the traumas that we've been through. And we learn to start to like clear those and understand like this is a part of what makes the experience. We're like, okay, this is how I tune back into myself. This is how I tune back into my body so that these demons, and when we're talking about like, spiritually, like demons and stuff, like demons can be in food at McDonald's. Demons can be the asshole at your job, like, but it's a spirit. It's a conscious energy that is traveling through a physical flesh, a body, or even an experience. How you interact with it is based on your light. Are you tapped into your light body? Now, the way I describe a light body is more from a biological perspective because even if you look into like the concept of Jacob's Ladder. You've either seen the scary movie Jacob's Ladder or you are referring to the biblical concept of Jacob's Ladder. It's a DNA chain. And so we're re-experiencing through whether you believe it's reincarnation or rebuilding the rung or the ladder of repurposed and regenerated DNA over and over again. We're here to bring back different aspects of consciousness back into ourselves. And the same way we look at ourselves as like, I'm the singular and I'm the only one. No, we got variants running around everywhere. Like we're all variants of each other.
Oh yeah,
Um,
well that explains why people's faces look the same.
Whoa.
I see people, I run into people all the time. Oh, the other day in Cincinnati, Michael, we were at a store and the guy behind the store counter, his face looked exactly like this actor that's in Christopher Guest movies, like it's improv. I like that's just
Jacob's. So Jacob's
yeah,
ladder, DNA, and Israel, Jacob became Israel. Israel
which
means
means
wrestling with
wrestling with
God.
God.
So if you're wrestling with your DNA, that's literally altering it. That's what you just said there.
Oh
and
wow.
DNA can also be like a little coded anagram for Dana or Diana, which is goddess of the moon in Greek mythology. Moon being the subconscious mind, the subconscious void body that is building the physical DNA that is creating and generating
Whoa.
experience. So
Yep. I'm an
imagine you think you're
Aquarius moon.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Imagine you think you're you and you're actually like your great great grandfather living in your body, but you think that you're running the show and you're really his story repurposing inside your body.
Oh, dude, that's
Wow.
Michael's grandfather looks exactly like him. I
Yeah, he's
saw
got
there's an
It's
old picture
true.
of him from in his uniform. He was a Marine, and his face, Michael, is exact. Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
probably a little too long for the conversation. Maybe we can do another one too, but like
You
even when
you have to come back. Yes,
we're
I know. Because
of
I'm sorry. I know
course,
it's taking a long time, but yeah, totally.
whenever we talk about like, the whole Saturn trap and everything with that, like that's
Oh,
how
the
they get
Saturn
you.
worship.
They bounce you back into here. Like people are always saying, don't go into the light. When your spiritual body is leaving, it's not going anywhere necessarily because through contracts, spiritual and physical, you have been bound in order to cycling back here until you complete your karma. And so, they always say everybody's in a spiritual prison. I have beliefs about that and different because a prison is also like phonetically similar to the word prism, like a prism of light. And
Mm,
everybody has seen the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes.
So when we're actually interpreting that, we're watching the light go through this pyramid, this full spectrum of being of light, which is frequency tapping into like mathematics, sound, and behavior. We're realizing that our experience traveling through all of this is through our eyes. It's happening, the all-seeing eye, that's us. We're looking at it and we're looking around for someone to blame and make responsible. And there are beings who have used this energy, but once you become aware of it, it's like Schrodinger's cat. The game changes once you're aware that something's being done. You're like, this doesn't feel familiar. So maybe I should start doing something that is for my highest good versus serving something else. And that's where like Earth becomes like an escape room for people. So like, well, where do I go? Like, I don't want to be here anymore. Well, what do you actually like about Earth versus what you don't like? What can you change? What can you do today to make something that you didn't like happen before get better here? Because it's possible. You're a creator here too. You have the ability, the same way people can go into like computer games and play The Sims and create like outside mods that did not come with the base reality of the game, but something they built outside of it that they can now pass on to other people is the same building here. What you guys are doing with this podcast, this is something that you're building that one day, years from now, when we're in a more transhumanist world, someone may be looking for something real with a couple, a married couple who's talking about very weird but real esoteric concepts that they weren't taught. They're like, oh, well,
mm.
this is like a hidden clue or key for me to figure out what's going on here. It's a mystery.
Yeah, wow,
Wow.
that's really cool. I mean, that does seem like what I feel like I'm doing. I feel like I'm unraveling a mystery, and I really do. I'm trying to release myself from what I thought this reality was a prison for. I've been thinking that for a while now because it just feels like if it's not a prison, then why is there suffering? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of but I realize now that like if we are all created from source and all connected as one through source, then it's a prison and it's heaven. You know what I mean? It's a mindset uh always, and that's a frequency you can tap into, and it's like scientists proved that DNA is like a fractal antenna, so
Mhm.
really like this could be could be all electric. I'm I want to go and like start studying like the principles of electricity now because I don't know much about that, but I feel like everything we're talking about is just different levels of like electricity.
And an easy analogy that I can give, like you can always tap in to ground yourself, is that if you go and plant a seed outside, is the seed interpreting how much time it will take to grow, or is it just planted? And even after, is it paying attention to the time and the process of which it is growing, or does it just let the process happen? What is happening through Earth right now, while we look at the growth process as like traumatizing and terrible, it's because we're paying attention to the structures that have been created rather than just living them. We're trying to measure everything like very accurately and precisely without just like being in. Our body naturally knows how to move. You get up without thinking about it every single morning. You start talking without thinking, is this okay to say first, at least to the people you're comfortable around.
Mm.
So treat yourself, bless you,
Thank
treat
you.
Bless you.
yourself as a seed just the same. You're being grown, you're harvesting, and yeah, maybe in this weird version of reality, we're in the year 55,000 and we're harvested DNA that's living through a virtual reality consciousness. Now that you know that, what do you do? We can't access them right now because we're not at the same dimensional level of consciousness. For all you know, it's your body right now that's orchestrating this whole event. But, rather than putting ourselves in a paranoia state of how can we stop it or control it, what can I control right now? How can I live and flow with my life, with my dreams, with my goals? And at the same time, remember, all this is made up. Like we can discover everything every single day, but we're also as humans improvising, and we have that beautiful spontaneous component about us. Like we can just choose to like break out and dance for no reason out of pure joy or happiness. So it's important to anchor into those things even as a human studying, the hidden and the occult mysteries.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I like your Sims analogy too. That's a really good one.
Thanks. I love The Sims. I made a
because
video
you're
the
in
other
it.
day about Bill Gates being in The Sims.
I saw that. I gotta show Michael. I
Did
keep telling
you?
Michael to just get into the server with us, but he this is a great okay, this is a great thing. I think it's been very clear from our conversation that Taylor, you don't operate out of fear. And even though you know that there's 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 evil out there, you don't like make your choice based on you don't make your choices based on that, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Well,
Michael, and I think
I yeah,
Michael,
I
I
wrestle
think
with it because
yeah, he still struggles with that.
I'll be somewhere and somebody will like say something just to let me know, like, hey, I'm gonna strike fear in you. Or they'll flash a gang sign to me and I'll revert back into that myelinated path. So I mean it happens. I'm getting out of it.
Mhm.
Whenever you see or hear something, just ask yourself who's in control, you or something or some outer force. Who's running the show? Who can stop the thoughts at any point? Who can stop listening or stop looking at whatever's being shown to you and focus on yourself? Visualization. When you visualize something uncomfortable, think about the things that you love the most, your wife, your children. These are things, your mother, your father, whatever anchors you into that feeling of home, where you were born from source. Nothing else can penetrate family. People will die for their families, and that's because there's an essential bond that's been created, and this bond is the same way like hydrogen bonds together. So if you understand that the same molecular process happens in nature, nothing, no outside virus or source can interfere with true love in your heart for yourself or for the people around you.
Aw, that's so
Interesting.
beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
How
think like
so I want to talk voodoo now.
oh
Like
God.
Michael's so ready.
Okay, well
how do
she only
you
has like 10
know
more minutes. Okay.
16 minutes. 16 minutes, but who's autistic? At least me. How do you know if somebody has voodoo over you? There's a Sabrina the Teenage
Well, she
Witch
worked at
thing.
a voodoo store.
I know, that's why I want to ask this. But
Um,
you heard of the Sabrina the Teenage Witch thing where they were doing actual spells on TV and then a witch said, "Hey, don't do that. This is going out into televisions everywhere."
I
Mhm.
didn't,
How'd you?
didn't hear that, but I have seen the Sabrina show before, and they do put a lot of symbols in there. But that happens on all shows. They slip in symbolism, graffiti, pictures, anywhere.
Mhm.
Voodoo is a religious but a very long spiritual practice that has roots in understanding life, death, and elemental forces of nature. There are people who practice it because it's a part of their culture. Now, people who are practicing it for their own purposes, most of the time either have not been initiated or have probably been paid to be initiated. So, not everybody you meet is using it, and there are many different forms of magic. I think it's
Right,
kind of
right.
easy to use voodoo as a write-off because it's one of the most popular, but it's also one of the most widely misunderstood ones as well. Anyone can use magic on you, especially Hollywood occultism. But when you say, like, how can you tell if someone's using any kind of magic on you?
Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you.
When your
Because it
mind
could be
changes,
mysticism or Kabbalah or any of the mystical elements of manipulation.
when you're outside of yourself, when you're not listening to yourself. I had to learn that. I worked in a spiritual shop. It was a hoodoo shop, but it was ran by a voodoo practitioner. I was very naive at the time. I was not adept in any kind of real occultic or spiritual knowledge. And there were instances where I felt an unfamiliar energy because I was, even in a Christian household, my mom was very down to earth, very politeful and respectful, and never like put any wild or like evil or maleficent or maleficent. What am I trying to say? Maleficent thoughts. I'm thinking of Maleficent from what you call it
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
movie, but
I know
Malevolent.
what
Yeah,
malevolent. Yeah,
yeah.
word fart.
Okay.
Mal.
So I can
Anyway.
recognize when thoughts are not my own because it was a part of my programming
Oh.
growing up. So there was a time at the store when I was working there that I got like a weird feeling and I heard something. And I'm like, well, you're not like, you don't really experience psychosis or anything like that. And I was pregnant at the time too. So I was definitely more vulnerable and open. Now, I'm not going to make any accusations, but I did quit the store months later. The voice that I heard was not my own, and it was instructing me to do something I would never do. And this stuff is
Mm.
very real. They can try to penetrate your psyche. But I think at that point, that's how I knew how powerful I was as an individual, not more powerful than other people, but powerful enough to control myself because If I hear something that doesn't sound like something I would ever do or say to myself or someone else, that's not me speaking. And at that point, I have to put up my spiritual blockers, meaning that I know that's not me. That's not a part of my energy or my spirit. We're separate. Same way you don't let people in your house who you don't know without knocking or being invited in first. That's a huge part of it. But I will say, for like, I didn't see the video you're talking about, but for shows like Sabrina, when you watch a show, your eyes are your windows. You are opening yourself up every time you participate in media. But if you are aware, right, it's like having that filter that we have between our windows and the outside. It can block the bugs coming in, it can block like outside things, but there's just enough for you to see right through it. So shows and TV, all that media stuff operates kind of the same way. You can watch it without being impacted by it, but you have to know the sound of your own voice.
Yeah, I
Wow.
love that. And I mean, discernment, it's
That's
so
a good one.
crucial. Discernment is so important, and it's something that's taken me a really long time. I mean, you're younger than I am. I'm 42. It's taken me up until now pretty much to really I think I always had the discernment and my own voice, but to really radically be loyal to it. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
I don't think I was always loyal to my own discernment, my voice, because I got told so many times that all my choices were wrong, you know? So it makes you think, okay, I make the wrong choices. I can't trust myself,
Well,
you
how
know?
how often have you screamed, "I knew this would happen"?
Oh,
I
all
knew
the
Me or
time.
this would
Heidi?
happen. Are you
Taylor,
too,
yes,
Taylor? All
every day, every day.
That's kind of why I got that whole Oracle name. And I don't like really go around announcing this because there's a whole story about a woman who claims to have ridden the Matrix. I think that that was like inserted. I don't think that's a real story. But a lot of
Yeah,
people gravitate towards it because they gravitate towards the stories of struggle and things being taken. But I like have an inkling that even though it was cast as an older woman twice, that this very specific time where TikTok just bought out the Oracle Corporation. There's a reason why my page got banned at that time. There's a reason why people were referring to me as the Oracle, not because of that, because I'm a filtration system. I'm the person who's taking
Wow.
these crazy things that nobody notices, and I'm able to filter through them so people see them more clearly. To most, it'll look crazy because it's like they're all the way over there and you're the way all the way over here. How would they even know that that was you? They wouldn't. Something in my DNA changed my face so they couldn't interpret it, but the story is the same. I'm in the middle of TikTok, a whole app about time, about how you can conserve or lose time, interpreting mysteries the same way this Oracle did. She's sitting in her kitchen. 9 times out of 10, you guys see me if I post like certain videos, I'm in the kitchen with my kids. So someone saw into the dream realm and they saw a woman who couldn't be reached by many people, but people came to her when they needed to know, like when Neo came to the Oracle, am I the one? I can't tell you you're the one. The same way I can't tell anyone who you are. I can simply tell you that there's a set of algorithms that have created your life, the way your parents treated you, how you responded to that, the schools you went to, the choices that you made, and how this algorithm is now why your feed shows you who you are every single day, but you get to choose. It's a choice. The choice is an illusion
Mm.
because it's already been made, but I can like tilt your head over here and be like, hey, you see this, how this is familiar to you? This is pattern recognition. This is who you are, but
Wow.
you get to choose. You can be the victim in your story, but you can also be the hero. You can be both because your mind is dueling against itself. It's a battle as old as time. The father dueling the son for who's in the next position of power. It's your old self, your previous karma battling with completing this cycle. That's the war in heaven. The war is in your mind fighting yourself. So like even when it comes to like red pillars, I'm like, well,
yeah.
red and blue makes purple, and purple is the crown. So there's not one side. There's three of them.
Whoa. I didn't even think of
Whoa.
that combining into the
Oh,
crown
so it
chakra.
is. So the no kings thing is really,
In
It's
yeah,
the
Charlotte, the city of the free man.
yeah, yeah.
wow.
Okay, quick question. I was watching all these videos of the protests, millions of people. They say like 7 million people, and it kind of made me wonder. And this would explain why there's so many repeated archetypes too. Do you think the population of the world is fabricated and there's actually a lot less of us that exist basically?
Yes.
Yes, see, I do too. And it's like, but I don't want to become so detached that I just consider everybody NPCs. I don't think that's what's happening, but I definitely think that we see these AI videos, and they've gotten so realistic now. It's like, okay, they probably have always been doing this. They probably have always been fabricating how many millions of people come to things and participate in these things. Do you know what I
For
mean?
the levels of consciousness out there that like seem to be very minuscule in a world full of clickbait, I've seen that. And of course, it's not easy to make the assumptions because I saw a video that I made comments on a couple weeks ago that they had of Greta Thunberg claiming to have been kidnapped by Israeli forces. And there
Mhm.
was another video of someone who was with her, who was apparently like an Amazon worker, who claimed to also have been kidnapped. And there was like a string of videos on TikTok. And I'm like, getting kidnapped by political forces, they would just like put a phone in everybody's hand and say, make a TikTok. Then I start studying the
Well,
video.
also, why would they have let them even go into that flotilla and go anyway then? You know what I mean?
And
Like,
it's not even just the common sense stuff. Now we're being forced to examine virtual reality and how good these generative models actually are versus what we're told they are. So I'm
mhm.
studying the mouth, because this is the place it's easiest to tell right now with the
Is the
lower
mouth.
level models are like at the teeth and the lips. They're very hard to mimic because people have very distinct structures around their mouth. But I'm looking at his mouth and he's a black guy. He had a grill or whatever. But I've seen people with grills before. They can still move their lips and mouth. There was like this weird blurring effect. And I'm like, why? Okay, why would you need a filter for a video about you being kidnapped? And it's almost as though, even through political propaganda, and this is my assumption, I'm sure anybody will knock it down, but that's not true. Artificial intelligence is a huge part of warfare, and not spiritual warfare, physical warfare. If you look into Israel, Hamas, they're using artificial intelligence like you're playing a first person shooter game to be able to see on the other side and what's going on. So if you know they're using it to stage out political or not political warfare battles, you think it's not possible that they could also be staging virtual reality so people believe certain things are happening that aren't? Because that becomes
Yeah.
a form of mental warfare.
Yeah. So
So
how
yeah,
far so how far do we go with operating from that knowledge? You know what I mean? Like that's the part I struggle with, because it's like, okay, so if everything could be fabricated, then do I be concerned about babies dying in Palestine or not? You know what I mean?
be concerned with what you can control. If
Hmm.
there's something, a cause that you're passionate about, I definitely would say act on it. If there's something within your control that you can start through community organization, that you can begin, start it with the intention of, I want to make a change or a difference. Now, it can again send people into psychosis when it comes to virtual reality because we're talking about people messing with the minds and the brains and
Yeah.
the way that you interpret reality. Focus on what you can control for now. If it's something that you feel overwhelming you, it's important to take that time to examine. And by examine, I don't mean being over analytical with your brain, but tapping into your body. If you feel heightened states of awareness, like in your sensory, like getting sweaty palms or feeling like you have to get up and pace around, that's probably a sign that that could be meant to infiltrate your consciousness. It does not mean that there are not terrible things happening to children or people all over the world. What is happening in your house right now? Because your head is your temple. These are your temples, but this is also your temple. What is
Oh.
controlling it? Is it you or is it something influencing you? If you can do something about things that are happening to other people, what action can you take that comes from a balanced place, not out of a, I want to hurry up and save someone, or I'm a mom, so I'm very attached to the emotional state of children. Okay, well, what can we do right now to master how we can help people right now? Can we get together support that we know is going to a trustful place to help people out in third world countries? Or can we organize panels where we can get on Zoom calls or go fly out in person and go deliver things? If there's no actionable steps behind this where we can physically connect with it, then spiritually it's time to like tune in and figure out, okay, why is this in my face right now? Why is it impacting me? Maybe, for me, sometimes, like if I'm having a hard day with one of my kids, I'll see something about people saying, that's why I didn't want to have any kids. I'm like, well, of course, because I'm feeling anxious about parenting because I'm trying to do everything right all the time. So it's natural in my algorithm, it'll show me people who don't really think like parenting is something they want to do. And so my mind would be put in this state of like, am I choosing? Am I doing the right thing versus being with my kids? That's the physical solution. Go be with your children. Go take a breath if you need to. Go take a walk. So like, just tackling things that we see with virtual reality and AI. If you can't tell, don't worry about it. Unless it's something to
Yeah.
do like with your bank account and you need to have some real cognitive dissonance about what's going on, like scammers or anything, separate from what doesn't feel true to you in spiritual nature.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good advice. That's really good advice. Um, so you had a huge following on TikTok. Was it like 150,000? How high
I think
did it get to?
116K, I believe.
Oh, okay. And then it was banned. And now you're starting over again on the platform. How did you I feel like with all the work and effort I would put in, like the content that you've shared on there, for it to get banned like that, I don't know if I'd be able to keep going and do it again. What made you decide to just keep going and keep posting?
Because I was born to do it. I mean, even though the idea of being an influencer, I don't really view that as like a career path or a thing. It's more so about the action of interacting with the world. I was set on a mission and I didn't know why I was doing it. I thought, it's a weird global time. I have my phone in my hand. This is how people are interacting. And I realized there's something in history that's happening where people are going to sleep. And as someone who is by design awakened, this is your job. You have to awaken people, even the ones who don't understand. It will be frustrating. It will be difficult. It will be challenging. Maybe some days I don't really want to do it. People aren't listening anyway. This only got 3 likes. But
Yeah.
it's not about that. It's about any person, and I've gotten hundreds, if not thousands of messages, some that I don't even really internalize because I'm like, maybe they're not even real people. But it was weird. It was a low blow when it happened. And then I realized, like, this is one experience. And if I quit now, what kind of example am I setting for every post I've ever made before? What kind of example am I setting for my kids about really tuning into their truth versus what's being given to them if I just give up because of a social media app shuts me down without giving me any reason why? Um, there are people who are looking for my content, and I don't view it kind of like as a position of power or anything like that. I think it's more so because we need people who are able to translate, to tell us what's going on in the areas that we might find uncomfortable. Like, I told you I wanted to talk about the financial realm. That's uncomfortable because it deals with the root work, scarcity, lack, mindset. Because we see a bunch of old guys in fancy suits and we think I could never speak that language. You can. Let me tell you through the mythology why you can. So, that's
Okay.
the root of why I do what I do. And what else is there at this point? We're here to live out the stories.
Yeah, yeah, totally. All right, we're hitting up to 5 o'clock. So what do you got going on right now that you want to like really promote or push?
I mean, Discord community is always
Yeah.
there. Right now, I am on my third night tonight of Oracle Mystery School. So we've been going over different parts of Mystery School from the beginning. The first class was talking about the origins of the occult in mystery schools. The second class, we talked about the tarot as architecture. We talked about the 22 paths of the Tree of Life and the 22 arcana in tarot, how it's been played since medieval, Comedian, and even Greece times. And then this week, we're talking about Kabbalah from a Christian, a Judaism, and a hybrid perspective so people can understand it.
Ooh, when's
There's
that?
That's
Like,
tonight at 7.
oh, okay.
But there are 3 more classes coming. So the bundle is available through the link in my bio. I can send you whatever stuff you need for that. And then on my website, of course, there's always you can book your own personal decode, apply for a mentorship, and then I have tons of books. One I will say, this is the last thing I'll say. My book I have out right now is talking about the firmament from a Gnostic perspective, and that's available on my website right now. I will be recording an audio version of it, but the digital copy is on my website right now to kind of explain
Sweet.
cloud infrastructure and how it's the
Wow.
biblical war in heaven. So, yeah,
Ooh, we gotta
you can
check
find
that
me any
out.
of those.
That's awesome, Taylor. Thank you so much. Michael, you got any other last questions?
None that could be answered in 2 or 3 minutes. I
We can
was
do
Well,
another one whenever you guys
yeah,
want.
we
awesome.
will have her back, definitely. Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds good.
this
Let
was
me
great.
know.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
doing the show.
Um,
We
tell,
appreciate it.
shoot your handles out so people can follow you.
So TikTok is just Taylor DeClue now.
Mhm.
Instagram is Taylor A DeClue, and then YouTube is Tailored Healing TV. And I'll provide Heidi with all of my links so you guys
Yeah.
can put them in your show notes or wherever so you can access them easily.
Yeah,
Sweet.
definitely.
Cool.
We'll do that. Thank you, Taylor. I love
Thank you
this. We're
guys.
gonna
Yeah, thank you.
we have to take a trip down to New Orleans and meet you in person soon. We're not
Of
that
course,
far away.
I would love that to show you guys around, even though I barely go in the French Quarter, but you would still love it.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
All
Okay.
right, guys.
Talk
Thanks so
soon.
much. All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Thanks for listening to the Never Forget Hidden History podcast. Email us at neverforgethh@gmail.com. Follow Heidi on TikTok and Instagram, and me as well, at michael.gilkison, Heidi Rachel Brown, and any other handles? Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
You're coming back to me, but I know that you're gone, so I fall till I fall. Yeah, I fall till I fall. Yeah, I fall till